Hey, how's it going, everybody? In this video, I'm actually going to be doing a movie review today. I just watched the new Hellraiser movie that came out on Hulu, and I have to say that I loved it. Now, I'm new to the Hellraiser series. I've watched my first Hellraiser movie probably, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Hellraiser Judgment. That one was the newest one before this one. But this new one that just aired on Hulu is the first time that Clive Barker is returning back to the series and has direct influence over the story that's being told in Hellraiser. I really enjoy the lore that goes into the Hellraiser movies. I've probably watched more videos on that than actual Hellraiser movies watched. So I'm still very new to the series, but I have to say that I really think that this reboot did the series justice so far, and so far a lot of other people are saying the same thing as me. It didn't feel like a cash grab. It didn't feel gimmicky. My personal score, typically on my book channel, I do out of 5. I give books, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. I'm going to do like a 10 score this time, and I'm giving this new movie a 9 out of 10. I wouldn't call it a 10, because what's common in horror movies, you have those, every once in a while, you'll have those stupid movie character moments where it's like, why would you do that? You have to question the sanity of some of the characters, but those moments that are few and far between are really overshadowed by how well the movie was put together. It was it was kind of a somewhat of a typical horror story, but the way that they handled it gave the characters incentive to keep going. So if you're new to the Hellraiser series, kind of like me, there exists a puzzle box where if it's solved, it summons beings from another dimension called Cenobites, and their entire existence is based on inflicting pain upon others. But they've had so much pain inflicted on themselves, the way that they look, their skin is torn, you can see the muscles, that in past movies, I know that they can't differentiate between pleasure and pain. So they're synonymous with each other. So whenever they inflict pain, for them, it's pleasurable. But to the victim, obviously, it's terribly painful. So this movie follows Riley, who is a recovering addict, who her new boyfriend has said, hey, there's this abandoned warehouse with this like safe in it. I think we should try to break in and try to see what's in it. They break into it, they find the puzzle box, and once you start solving it, it summons these Cenobites. And in past movies, if you were the one to solve the puzzle box, you were screwed. The Cenobites would come after you, take you away, and start torturing you in their dimension. Whereas in this one, there's different configurations that they lay out that can. It's going step by step to get an ultimate prize, which is if you solve the final configuration, then you get a wish from Leviathan, which is like the god of the Cenobites. So it gives Riley an incentive to want to continue solving this puzzle box, because when you solve it, a knife comes out and can either cut you or you can cut somebody else so that the Cenobites come after them. And once you get to that 6th configuration, then Leviathan comes down. You can ask him a wish that you would like, right? So it's not the typical, like if you've seen horror movies in the past where it's like, why do they keep touching the haunted box, right? Whereas in this movie, it kind of gives them incentive to like, okay, we got to touch it again because, sometimes it happens by accident, but sometimes they have to, touch it in order to solve it because, to try to save her brother, right? She wants to resurrect her brother again. So that's kind of her motivation. I won't go too much farther, but it gives them incentive to do that. And then what I also really like about it is that it seems obvious, but the screams of pain. I think we can all picture a really horribly done horror movie where the screams just feel like the actor's acting. Whereas in this one, sometimes the acting's a little bit questionable, where if something's shocking, they're like, it's like over exaggerated, where it's like, that was a little cringy. But in the distance, when you hear someone being tortured, or if you see them on screen being tortured, it really feels like they're going through pain. And I think that's a subtle detail that maybe, an average horror movie fan, scary movie watcher might not pick up on. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, those really do feel authentic. It just doesn't feel like they're acting in a horror movie. It feels like they're actually in pain. And what I also really love is the whole Lovecraftian feel of it. Now that we've got, picture 2022 CGI, but they also use a lot of practical effects, so CGI is done by the computer, but there's also some really practical effects. It doesn't look like it's all like a Marvel movie, if you know what I mean. Like there's like Pinhead's chains, other like torture devices. It's like an actual thing that you can touch, right? It's not just all computerized. So I think that was a really nice touch as well, because some things had to be CGI, but other things where they could apply practical effects, they did, and they did it very well. And the visuals are very Lovecraftian, meaning like dark, and the lighting is very gritty. And I've only read a handful of Lovecraftian stories, of his short stories, but it makes you feel like you're a part of the world, and it makes it believable. So it was really enjoyable. It wasn't too long; it was about 2 hours long. And for me, if I noticed that a movie is like 2 hours, it's like, all right, they took a little bit of extra time to really like tell a story, and it really felt that way as well. Since I haven't seen any of the earlier Hellraiser movies, there's a return of some of the classics, like the Chatterer. I know, where the guy's mouth keeps going like this, and then Pinhead is the priest of hell, although it's mentioned briefly in the movie, so maybe first-time watchers might not pick up on that. But back in the day, Pinhead was the most important of the Cenobites, right? He was one of the leaders. This time, it feels like Pinhead doesn't have that much more importance than the other Cenobites. Like on screen, visually, you can see it that she does, but it felt closer to where she was almost on the same level as the other Cenobites, but maybe slightly more elevated, rather than the ranks being so much different. But I think overall, this new one, they really did it justice. I think if you're a Hellraiser fan, you're really going to enjoy it. If you're wanting to watch something new, like I was, and I was looking forward to it for weeks since the trailer came out. But I think there's something to like here from everybody. Although if you're squeamish and don't really like gory things, just be warned. It can be pretty gory and pretty like gruesome at times. So just be warned on that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay tuned. Thanks.